let's talk about all my blanket quantities of yarn and what I plan to make with them. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from The Cozy Crow, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome to today's video. This is like a show off my stash kind of a video, so hopefully a little bit of a shorter vlog for you, but I wanted to share all of the blanket quantities of yarn that I have and what I am thinking about making with them. Some things are pretty decided, some things I'm still trying to figure out, and some blanket quantities are still a work in progress because they are a club that I am currently a part of and acquiring yarn for. So I'm just going to share what I've got and what I'm thinking would be really good plans for these if I have anything in mind. And at the very end, I'm going to share with you the blanket that I plan to make during my Bookish blanket Makealong that I am hosting starting today on September 13th when this video is coming out, and it runs through the end of November. I've got a couple other videos on my channel talking about all the info related to this Makealong, as well as a couple videos of blanket roundups, both knit and crochet, if you are interested in getting some ideas about what are some good blankets you can make that suit this Makealong. So without further ado, let's jump into my blanket yarn stash. My biggest collection of potential blanket yarn, I have no idea what I want to make with it. So I am throwing this out here so that you can hopefully give me some ideas on how to divvy this up. I've just been acquiring a lot of book related yarns recently. By recently, I mean within the past couple of years. So there's no rhyme or reason necessarily to the skeins that I have right now, but I have a lot of yarns that are book themed that would work for making a blanket if I figure out a way that I want to use up some, if not all of these yarns. So I'm going to show you. I've got a lot and I don't know what to do with them. There are a lot of yarns here. I'm spilling things. So I've got these 4 skeins from Sorella's semi-recent collection. It was like their library collection or something. So I've got these 4 skeins that I bought just because these are the ones that I really liked. This one is Fourth Wing inspired, which I've read Fourth Wing. I thought it would be fun. This might be a hat or it might be part of a blanket. I don't know. I've got these 2 that I thought would work well together. And then this one was just so pretty. So I haven't even necessarily read all the books that are related to it. Oh, this one is Pride and Prejudice related, which is fun. So I guess I could have included it in my Pride and Prejudice vlog. I've got a couple more Fourth Wing skeins. These ones are from Fangirl Fibres. I think she did like a little mystery bag where I had 2 skeins of yarn and a couple other little goodies and a little tote bag, drawstring bag that came with it. I think that's what that came from. I've got a couple teeny button trope yarns, so cute. Enemies to Lovers and Slow Burn. Both of them are sock sets because I was just acquiring yarn that I love in the format that I thought I would use them in, but these could also go for a blanket together. Who knows? Like I said, I have no plans. So if you have any ideas on what would work for these or how to divvy up all of these yarns to make bigger projects with, let me know. Couple self-striping colorways. This one is from Comfy Cozy Knits. This is also Fourth Wing inspired. I am not as obsessed as my yarn stash makes it sound like. It's fun to join the party, especially since I've read the book, and in general, I enjoyed Fourth Wing. And then this one is Practical Magic by Kimber's Cozy Creations. It would be perfect for the fall, so these probably be socks, but they could go in this blanket. I do want to read Practical Magic this year. I've got one skein from Witchfire Fibres that is inspired by her Sarah J. Maas collection. What was it called? Like Maas Made Me Cry or something like that. And this is The World Needs More Healers. This colorway is so stunning, so me. So if this one is destined for anything, it's probably destined to not be in a blanket with a bunch of other colors. It's probably going to be like a hat or something that I would wear like every day of my life. This one is from Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. and it's Eye Candy, a sock set, and it's based off of some spicy burlesque rom-com. It was a really fun Valentine's Day like mystery box type of thing that I purchased from her. I saw it was Valentine's yarn and book inspired and I thought it would be fun. I have not read the book yet. I have these 5 skeins from Forbidden Fibre Co. They did a club. I don't know if they're still doing it, but it was their Novel Notions Club, I think it was called. So these are all book inspired, but they are specifically inspired by the genre, and then each month the dyer would organize a book club about a specific book within that genre. So for example, example, this one is beach read. So they picked a beach read that they wanted to talk about for that book club. We've got fiction, young adult, and fantasy. Some of these are like really similar. So I just found that with them switching bases, I don't know how well you can see, but some of them are sparkle, some of them are 100% superwash merino, some of them are a sock blend. I just felt like it wasn't necessarily suiting me to have multiple skeins that didn't necessarily go together. Though in a blanket, I think these would look really, really fun, especially because I'm not sure exactly what I'd want to do with these. So having a big project where they're kind of, I don't know, stash busting full skeins of yarn, these would be a good fit for. I've got this sock set from Yarnaceous Fibres. This is Bumblebee's Past. This is from their Emily Wild box. I ordered both skeins, and so my box was specific for like the Light Fairy box with this add-on skein. And so I have this add-on skein and the minis to go with it. I don't know what I would make with it, but because it is Emily Wild inspired, or specifically Bumblebee inspired, then I could include it in a book blanket. Another book box yarn. This is from Woolberry Fabric Co, and this was from the December box. I am behind. There's a lot of reasons why, but I'm really hoping I can get on top of these boxes and do a lot more vlogs about them in the next couple of months before baby gets here. That is the goal. This is Cherry Almond Kringle. I am getting, I think, a total of maybe 7 boxes. So I could do something with 7 skeins. This is the only one I've opened so far. I have a couple more on deck waiting for me. I am not sure if these would go in their own project, in a small blanket project, maybe held with a mohair or suri or something to make the yardage stretch a little farther as far as the size of a blanket would go, or if these would be a good fit for adding to a generalized book blanket. I don't know, but I only have 1 skein set aside right now, though this might become a different blanket quantity of yarn depending on the yarns in those boxes. And I've got 4 skeins from Treehouse Knits from their, what do they call it, like story time at the Treehouse, where Lauren has a different colorway every single month, and she's doing this in like quarterly installments where you can order from her. So each month has a different book that has inspired the colorway. She tells you the color palette, and it is so stunning, so beautiful to see. So I've purchased 2 skeins from the first quarter, 2 skeins from the second quarter. I can't remember how many I purchased from the third quarter, 1 or 2 skeins. So by the end of the year, I'm going to have a small stash of that yarn. Not enough that I am for sure making a blanket out of just this yarn, but plenty of yarn that I could play around with. And then I have quite a collection of Fangirl Fibres yarn that I just don't know what to do with. Again, these will probably be in a project altogether. I would love to read all of these books that have inspired this yarn and then make a blanket out of all these yarns, but we shall see. So she's doing a club called Yarn It that's kind of like Book It when you were little and you would read books and then get personal pizzas for free from Pizza Hut or whatever it was. I don't remember doing that. I think my parents just expected me to read on my own and not be compensated for it. That's what I did, and I feel like I missed out. So for the first quarter of the year, it was Romantasy. So we've got One Dark Window, which I read and loved. We've got Assistant to the Villain, which I started and I DNF'd because it was just not the mood for me as far as like the silly, goofy time. Maybe I would come back to it, maybe not. And then Quicksilver, which is on my TBR, though the more I hear about it, the more I feel like it's probably not a great fit for me, but I still might enjoy it. So I'm still gonna give it a try. I've also got 3 skeins. They're still in packages from Fangirl Fibres. I think this is from the Yarn It Club for the second quarter of the year, and it was sports romance, which I thought was so fun. I don't read a lot of sports romances, so I thought I would do a vlog where I would open a skein of yarn as a mystery, and then I would read that book that was associated with it. So I was waiting till I collected all 3 skeins because they came monthly, and then I was pregnant and sleeping and trying not to throw up. So I didn't get to it. And I just feel like sports romances are more of a summer vibe. So I might not get to this year. I might try to do this as a vlog idea for next summer. I'm not sure. Haven't decided. This is the plan for these because all 3 of the books were not a mystery. Emily at Fangirl Fibres had them listed, but I don't know which one is in each package because they all are identical. So I thought it would be fun to kind of randomly pick a package and then read whatever book that was. But I know for a fact I've not read any of the 3 sports romances that were included in this club. And then the final Fangirl Fibres yarn I have to share is from their weekly Bookish countdown calendar that they did last Advent season. And so I have not worked up any of these weekly skeins. I did work up the final skein that was like the Christmas Day skein. I think I made a Musselburgh. I really, really love that yarn and I cast it on right away. But these ones I haven't done anything with. They're all inspired by holiday romances. And I think I'd not read any of them before this, but I've read a couple since then. I think I've read All I Want for Christmas and Cold World. Ooh, A Very Merry Bromance. I read that one too. Maybe Under the Mistletoe. Maybe I've read all 4 of these. I need to double check. I was reading a lot of holiday romances last, November through January, February time. So I don't remember, but I might have read all 4 of these books, which would be really exciting to kind of check that off the list. Because for these book inspired yarns, I would really love to read the books before I work up the yarn. So these I need in a project together, and they definitely all coordinate in some way, like, color palette wise, but not necessarily a fade or anything like that. So these need to be together, but I'm not sure how. An actual finished or almost finished blanket quantity of yarn that I want to share with you that I am really excited to cast on. These are my Pride and Prejudice Club yarns. I did get the sock set, so the variegated main skein, tonal minis, and I've acquired a couple of the tonals over time as I've looked on D-stashes, on Ravelry and whatnot. I would love to have 1 or 2 more skeins just to make sure I have enough yardage, but I do have a couple skeins that I've used to supplement this color palette that I think still work really well. So ta-da, here is that Pride and Prejudice yarn, and my plan for this is Quinn's Quilt by Marinja Knits, and I recently shared this on my 30 knit blanket patterns roundup. This is so stunning. I think partly because this color palette is just so beautiful, desaturated, a little bit moody. There's olive, there's mauve, there's cranberry, there's goldenrod. I love all of those colors, and I'm just really feeling them right now. And I think that this style of blanket that is made to look like a quilt but knit would really suit the characteristics of this color palette as well. So looking at the yardage, this uses anywhere from 2,700 to 3,000 yards. It is DK, so I would have to hold fingering double. All my skeins are fingering at this moment, which means I would need to double my yardage. So I need anywhere between 5 to 6-ish thousand yards. That's a lot of yarn, though I have no main color to go with these. These would all just be the contrast colors. And in looking at the pattern, there are easy ways to just eliminate outer components of this star-shaped quilt pattern to use a little bit less of the contrast colors and then just have more of the main color to kind of supplement and fill in the gaps. So I think I could totally make this work with the yarn I have. If you or anyone you know has any tonal Pride and Prejudice Club yarn from Woolberry Fabric Co. that you would like to sell, even if you have a partial skein as a scrap or minis that you're not going to use, I would love them. So please reach out because I just would love to supplement this a little bit more. So I have the Pride and Prejudice Club yarn. The things I have in here besides that, this is also Woolberry Fabric Co. I think it's in the colorway Faraway Lands. This might work because it's Woolberry Fabric Co., but I feel like the color is not quite right for this palette. So this is the first skein to get yeeted from this blanket quantity if I get something that's better. This skein is called October. So pretty, and I feel suits this palette really well. And then I've also got Austen, inspired by Jane Austen, of course, even though it's not from this collection. It's a couple years older for sure. And then I've got a couple different tonals in here, but I wouldn't mind supplementing with the same tonals I have. So I've got all the variegateds, and then I've got, let's see, Lightness of Foot, and I've got, what is it, Barely Tolerable, is that olive green? And I think that's everything. Yeah, so I've got just 2 skeins of tonals. I would love to supplement with more tonals. We shall see. I didn't decide what I was going to make with this until after Woolberry did their Pride and Prejudice collection where you could buy more skeins of this yarn. So I missed my chance. So now I'm just pulling from D-stashes and extra scraps that people have. So if you have any, let me know. Let's talk about a small blanket slash a wrap quantity that I have in mind. And I don't know if this would qualify for my Makealong, but I have this massive skein of Karen that's been in my stash for forever. It is huge. It is huge. Probably 2.5 skeins worth, one of the Pound of Love type of idea. I think this is Karen yarn. I can't remember. It's an acrylic 100%. And then I have this 100% acrylic that is this cool like fall color palette. Next to each other, these don't look the same, but I think that's just because you're seeing a lot more of the green on this one than on this one, but these are all bits and bobs of the same yarn. And so my plan is to do a half and half triangles wrap. A Schlenke would also be sufficient for this type of Makealong because there's plenty that are throw sized. I don't know if this one is, but this is the other blanket-ish quantity that I have from my older stash, like my acrylic stash that I have moved away from in the past few years. I don't remember what this yarn is. I don't even, oh, there is a tag in there. I can find out. Let's find out what yarn that is. Okay, it's called Red Heart Hello Gorgeous yarn. I remember I bought this probably in like 2019. And this colorway is called Sedona. I made a lot of pumpkins for markets out of this yarn, and I think that these would go really well together. Half and Half Triangles Wrap by Pearl Soho, which is a free pattern that you can find on their website. I've just heard a lot about, you know, people making this as an easy project, so I had this in mind as a good way to use up a lot of this older stash. I just haven't started that yet, so that would be a fun thing to make, especially because I feel like it would be pretty easy and it would be really satisfying to use up some of these like bits and bobs that I have left and some older stash that I really haven't touched in a long time. This blanket quantity of yarn is actually a work in progress because I am still part of this club, still acquiring skeins, and I will have a total of 13 skeins to use for a blanket, and I already know what I'm gonna make. I feel so good about this, which makes me feel better about some of these blanket quantities or like amalgamation of blanket yarns that I just don't know what to do with because I know for sure what these yarns are going to become. So these are the Swift Reads Club yarns from Yarnaceous Fibers. I have, let's see, 6 skeins right here and number 7 is in here. I have labeled all of them because I want to keep them in order for when I make the blanket. For this club, this yarn is inspired by books that are inspired by Taylor Swift songs. So they all have Taylor Swift song names and the covers are this beautiful color palette. They're all rom-com-y, you know, general fiction type of books. And I've read one book so far, but my goal is to read all of them. There's this cute little postcard type thing where you can put your sticker on the month that that book is inspiring. And so my goal is to read all the books that inspire this yarn, make a blanket with it. So I need to get a move on because I want to vlog this process, and I think that is partly why I have not done a lot of these before, because it's kind of hard to film footage over the course of a year, and so I kind of want to batch read a bunch of these books, if that makes sense, just to make the filming process a little bit easier for me and the editing process as well. Oh, there's also a bunch of stitch markers. Each skein comes with a stitch marker, which is so cute. So I'm mostly waiting until I get all 13 of these skeins, but my plan for these is to make the 12 Peaks blanket by Caitlin Ostafew, and this I mentioned in my 30 crochet pattern video that I recently came out with in preparation for this Makealong to give you some ideas. And this is actually found in her book, The Art of Crochet with Sock Weight Yarn, that she also gifted to me, which was so, so nice of her. It is fingering held double to make DK weight, and it is intended for 9 to 12 single skeins of fingering weight yarn, which is perfect for a club like this. So what I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna have 13 skeins, I'm gonna do the first 12 skeins are going to be the different like cool chevron block shapes, and then the very last skein, what I'm gonna do is just make a really simple border that's self-drafted around the edge. I don't really have a plan. I think it's not gonna be too difficult. I can't tell exactly what the stitch pattern is. It might be like a linen stitch or something. I'm sure I could look at the pattern if I wanted to, but I'm not ready to make it, so I think that's okay. I'll probably just mirror whatever stitch pattern is used within this blanket and do that along the edge to add a border, and then ta-da, I've got my blanket. So that vlog will probably come out sometime towards the beginning of next year because I need to wait till all of these skeins are in my possession and I've read all the books before I can work on that blanket. Probably towards the end of this year, I'm going to jam pack a lot of these fun rom-coms inspired by Taylor Swift songs into my reading schedule so that I can catch up reading by the time I finish acquiring the skeins, so then I can start the blanket pretty soon thereafter. My very last blanket quantity of yarn, and this is the blanket that I plan to work on during this Makealong. I'm going to be using my Emily Henry yarn from Red Door Fibre Co. to make a Warm Welcome baby blanket by Jess Copham. I don't know how you pronounce that name, but it is available for free online. I don't know if it's on her website or if it's on Line Brand's website, if she did a collaboration. But basically, I just want to do a color blocked chevron pattern. And this is in DK weight. I've got all of these Suri skeins in different colors that I'm going to hold with a skein of, I think, Knit Picks Stroll Bear, because I really like the tone of the bear colors because they're just a little bit more on the like yellow side than like a stark white, because they are undyed, being a bear yarn. So I'm gonna hold this bear yarn with this Suri to make the yardage decay and make everything stretch farther. And I'm just gonna do these like color block big stripes of each color. Ta-da, that's all the colors I have. I'm gonna arrange it all so that it kind of alternates between tonal and variegated in a way that the colors are a little bit more contiguous, if that makes sense. Where like I have on either side of this orange variegated, I've got a yellow on one side because it connects with the yellow and the variegated, and I've got a green on the other side to connect with the green and the variegated, if that makes sense. So it's gonna be kind of a fade, but distinct color blocks, and I think it's just gonna be so, so cozy. The only problem is, funny story, they didn't have for Suri, and so I just have a sock set, but the colors don't really go with the other 8 skeins I have. And then I have one final skein from when Explore Knits and Fibres was collaborating and making the Beach Read colorway that also doesn't quite fit with the other skeins. I can't wait forever because Emily Henry is still writing books, so I'm sure Red Door is still going to be coming out with skeins, and I can't let this yarn linger forever. I just need to make something with it, right? And so I am going to use the 8 skeins that coordinate really well in this faded type of layout for this blanket. I'm not gonna use it as a baby blanket. I'm gonna use it as a me blanket, as a cozy on the couch reading a book blanket. And then I'm going to make a border using this colorway since it doesn't quite fit with the other ones. And then I'm just gonna be sad about not having Funny Story in Suri, and it'll be okay. That will be a really fun way to use up that yarn. I've had the idea in mind to make that into an Emily Henry book blanket for a while, and so I'm really excited that I actually have a plan in mind. I've ordered my yarn from Knit Picks. It should be getting here early next week, so I can't start the Makealong today with everyone else, which makes me so sad, but it's okay. I'll be able to start early next week. So maybe I'll prep my yarn. Maybe that's something I should do early on so that I'm ready to go, because I would love to participate. Obviously, I can't win any prizes, but I just think that part of the joy of a make-along is by making things with other people and sharing what you're making and really appreciating everyone else's choices in the projects that they make. That's my plan for what I'm going to be doing for this make-along. Let me know down below what you are going to be making. I would love to hear any blanket pattern suggestions or even like shawl blanket pattern suggestions that you have for this make along in case others are looking for ideas. And let me know if you have any ideas on what to make with all these like random book skeins, because clearly this is plenty of yarn. I just don't have any idea cohesively what I would make with those. But other than like these random skeins that I've just collected from my stash, everything else has a plan, has a purpose, and I am really excited to be making some blankets in my future. Make sure that if you want to be part of the Bookish Blanket Make Along that you go check out my info video to learn a little bit more about that. That one is pretty short, just doing a good rundown on all the rules and such, as well as what prizes are going to be available. And make sure to check out the Discord channel that I have for sharing about your projects. I'm also going to include a Google Doc link down below and on the Discord channel so that when you finish your blanket, you can enter to win prizes that you can learn all about in the info video. And don't forget that you get extra prizes if you make a bookish blanket pattern or if you use any bookish yarn in your blanket. And I plan to give some participation prizes of some free patterns throughout the make along for participating over on the Discord channel. So make sure to check it out and join us there. Thank you again for watching and seeing what kind of blanket quantities I've acquired and the plans, at least the plans that I have right now to make these things. Thank you so much for joining me and watching this vlog as I share a little bit about what's in my yarn stash. If you want to see more specific things like this from my yarn stash, let me know, because I'm going to be moving my office downstairs. So I'm going to be doing a big overhaul of my yarn stash and reorganization. So maybe I'll do some fun themed stash videos that I can share some things with you that way if you're interested. So let me know down below if that's something you want to see. And I hope to see you over in the Discord channel for the Bookish Blanket Make Along. And until next time, happy making. Bye!